Hey, this is Greg, and I'm going to go over everything new in version 2025.9 of Yaak. So we have a new 1Password integration. We have the ability to enable and disable authentication based on environment variables. We have new header autocomplete for request and response template functions. We have the ability to save values that have been entered in the prompt function. We've got use of Git binary, which will use the Git binary for commit, fetch, pull, and push, so that it'll more closely align with more advanced Git configs and like commit signing and things like that. We've got JSON validation of request bodies. We've got new OAuth 1 and NTLM authentication, and we've got a new theme. So let's start off by showcasing this awesome 1Password integration. So 1Password now, you can access it via template function. So you can see it's asking me for a token. So you can create one of these tokens from the 1Password web dashboard under developer service accounts. And I'll just click that, and it'll ask me to enter the environment variable here. And then I can select my vault, my item, and the field within the item. And you can see it fetched it from 1Password. So super useful. Now you don't have to duplicate things that are already stored in 1Password. You can just access them directly from Yaak. So that's awesome. The next thing that's up is conditional auth. So you could already before enable and disable authentication for a request. You can see I'm just using an echo endpoint. So if I send it, it'll show me the headers that it sent. So here's the bearer auth token from my auth. If I disable it, no auth header is sent. This works well, but what if I have an API in a different environment that doesn't have auth? So token won't be defined, and when I send it, it'll just fail. And there's no use setting the token to an empty string because it'll still send the auth header. It'll be malformed because there won't be a value here. So now you can actually do enable when, and I'm gonna have to go over to production to showcase, to get the autocomplete value. So if I put token in the enable when, you can see it's enabled because this renders to a non-empty string. And I'll just hit send here. You can see the token is sent. And if I go to development, you can see the token doesn't exist, but this just means now that it's disabled. So if this value errors or if it renders to an empty string, it'll be disabled. So now I can have disabled auth in development and enable auth in production. So that's pretty useful. Next up, we'll go to demonstrate header autocomplete. So we have request and response template functions that can access headers. Before it was kind of hard to go back and forth and see what headers were available. Now you can just hit Control-C or just start typing, and you'll get a list of the headers that Yaak found that are available for autocomplete. So just a small quality of life improvement, but I mean, that's what Yaak's all about, so it's pretty cool to have that now. All right, next up, we'll showcase the prompt tag, which is really useful for if you're actually like using Yaak with an API to, I don't know, maybe you're actually interacting with a real API and you want to like create a bunch of entries or things like that. So the prompt tag will ask you for a value every time, and then it'll just send it in. So say I want to make a new user, make one with a name called Greg, make one with a name called Bob, things like that. But what if I want to actually store this value? I don't want to type it in every time. So there's two new options here. So you can store it with an expiry, or you can store it forever. And both of these, they have a key. So the key actually requires a label to be defined. So we have a label now. So you can see the storage key will be the workspace ID because it defaults to the workspace template function. So now it'll only prompt me in this workspace, and when I send it, it will just use the stored value that I already had. But what if I want to do like store it per environment? Or I can also do like request and environment, which is pretty cool. So now, since it's stored on the environment, hello. So hello will be sent under production, and then if I switch to development, it'll have a new value. It'll prompt me again. So super useful. That's super powerful to have the ability to define your own like storage key with using like dynamic values. Lots of use cases here. Probably not for every use case. It's actually pretty niche to use this function at all, but for those who do, this is going to be a really valued improvement. All right, so let's talk about the new stuff in Git now. So Yaak will use this is new. Before, Yaak was using a libgit library, a Rust interface to it for all Git operations, but Git configs can actually be quite complicated and have like a huge hierarchy of different settings and things like that, and like TLS and encryption doesn't quite work the same in libgit as it does in the Git binary. So now for all those complex operations, Yaak will just use the Git binary directly. So things like commit signing, advanced like server auth setups and stuff will just work the way you would expect. So that's the Git binary. There's not really anything to show for that, but one of the other things that is new is managing of remotes. So you can see I have no remotes defined yet in my app here. So now if I push, that will be detected, and I can go ahead and add my remote. And you can see the push succeeded. So I can go manage my remotes from here. I can delete them, add new ones, all that good stuff. And the other thing which I haven't showcased because I don't have an HTTP remote is it'll also prompt you for username and password now if it's an HTTP remote and it requires auth. So just a couple quality of life improvements around Git should make it much easier to work with. All right, moving on to JSON validation. This is just a fairly trivial one, but super useful. So if you type in invalid JSON, it will validate it and show you the error. But the cool thing is this also works with template syntax. So I wonder if I can showcase this somehow. Text edit, new document. So if I paste this, you can see this is actually what is defined under the hood when using template syntax. So you can see this is invalid JSON because there's no quotes around it, but the linter is actually smart enough to realize that and just skip over the template tags and ignore it from validation. So if I actually make it invalid, it'll still work. So that's pretty cool. Really help you catch those errors that you might not expect that you're sending. Or maybe you do want to send invalid JSON. You still can do that. All right, so moving on to authentication. So there's two new auth types in this release. There's OAuth 1 and there's NTLM, which is a Windows-based authentication. These are still in beta, kind of, so please report any bugs. I couldn't actually test NTLM, but I found a node library which basically just piping these fields into, so it should be working. And yeah, same for OAuth 1. I didn't really have an API to test with, so people seem to say it works in the beta, so let me know if you have any issues with these. And yeah, it's always good to have more auth types. And again, these are just plugins. Every single one of these is a bundled plugin within Yaak. So if you want to add your own auth type, you can create a plugin and extend it yourself. So last thing, this is just a quick one. So there's a new, people wanted like a darker background theme. So I took inspiration from Vercel and made this new triangle theme. So pretty nice. I don't really like dark themes, but if that's your thing, people seem to like this when I posted it on X. So yeah, have at it. And again, you can also create your own themes with plugins. So if there's a theme you don't like, or not a theme that you like to choose from within Yaak, you can always make your own. So yeah, that's everything available in 2025.9. All the major things anyways. There's a bunch of fixes and improvements as well. So head over to the changelog and check those out. But for now, that's been it. Thanks for watching.